Daniel Strange, this book titled Plugged In, Connecting Your Faith with What You Watch, Read, and Play. The approach that I want to share with you guys for evangelism, anybody can do it. He calls it in his book the subversive fulfillment approach. And this is his approach. I think I have slides for this too. Let me see. Here we go. These are the steps. So step one is entering, which is stepping into the world and listening to the story. We already know everyone has a story. If you let people talk, they'll talk. Everyone has a story. We must be ready to listen before we are quick to speak. So slow to speak, quick to listen, right? Step two is exploring, where you're searching for elements of grace. What can you amen? Where is their common ground? And then finding in that conversation the idols that are attached to it. Because sometimes there's a good thing that we agree with, but they're holding on to that good thing. A quick example, I was having a conversation with a guy at work, and he said he was a pagan Wiccan. And this guy worshiped like the sun and all these other things. And it's like, man, there's some good things about the sun. God made the sun, right? And the sun helps us, right? It gives us light. The sun, we can grow vegetation with the sun, beautiful flowers. Like there's so many good things. But that thing that we see as an element of grace, because it's a good thing, is an idol, right? So you see that as you're listening and you're finding those places of common ground. So exploring is step two. Step three is exposing or showing up the idols as destructive frauds, right? Because the sun should draw you to its source, right? That there's a creator. And so you have to expose the idols as destructive frauds. And then step four, evangelizing. You show off the gospel as subversive fulfillment. How the gospel is actually the answer for what they were seeking or what they thought they were benefiting from. And an example of this approach, this subversive fulfillment in the gospel approach, is actually found by our brother Paul in Acts chapter 17. This is a pretty popular passage as well. In Acts 17, 23 through 25, he used this approach. As I passed along, right? He was there. He entered in, right? For as I passed along and observed the objects of your worship, I found also an altar with this inscription, to the unknown God. What therefore you worship as unknown, this I proclaim to you. So he's exposing it, and now he's going into the subversive fulfillment in the gospel. The God who made the world and everything in it, being the Lord of heaven and earth, does not live in temples made by man, nor is he served by human hands as though he needed anything, since he himself gives to all mankind life and breath and everything. And then he goes on quoting the poets, right? For in him we live and move and have our being. And so Paul entered into the world of pagan culture. He found something that was of grace, which is worship, right? That's a common ground. Humanity was created to worship, and he exposed it as an idol. And then he showed what they were actually looking for. This unknown God, I actually know who he is, and actually he's the only God. Actually, he's the one that gives life and breath to everything. So Paul really gives us a good example of what it looks like to engage with the culture in this way that Strange points out in his book Plugged In.